it's more than just a game, and we need to help grow and help people be better people and be responsible for each other. So there's definitely a lot of room for growth, and yeah, it's on myself just as much as anyone to reach out when something's not right, to stand up and work through it and push people to be better. And that's what we need to do.
Welcome everyone to Hockey Culture, where we're changing the culture of hockey one interview at a time. Today we've got the pleasure of having Ryan O'Reilly join us, Stanley Cup champion, Conn Smythe winner from the St. Louis Blues. Ryan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Before we get started, I want to talk about your beard for a second, because I'm growing my beard out right now, staying at home, and my wife and kids hate it. But the reason why I'm growing my beard is because it's a reminder for the masks the frontline workers have to put on every single day. And once I say that to them, they settle right down. So I want to know, how do you maintain this thing in the summertime? Does it get hot?
It does, but honestly, I can't stand the look of myself without it. I just feel like I've got a baby face underneath there, so I need all the toughness I can get, and I feel like the beard kind of adds a little edge to me,
Well, the beard isn't the only thing we have in common. We both grew up with our parents having foster kids as part of the family. My parents had several foster kids living with us in Scarborough. My mom and dad liked having the additional bodies in the house. It kept the house lively. They loved the chaos. And you experienced exactly the same thing. How did that experience help you deal with being and learning with people not looking like yourself and being more inclusive?
I can't thank my parents enough for what they did. And, for the first, I was born into it. When I came home, I think there was already 3 or 4 kids living with us at that time. And just growing up with it, you learn just so much on there's people that come from, different situations that, have issues and, they need help. And my parents opening their home like that and bringing them in and getting to deal with them and learning, not just me, my parents do, learning how to live with them and get along. It's something that's carried over, I think, in everything. And I really hope I can, give my kids that same kind of experience, because you learn so much of it. And especially in hockey, just, being able to play on a team and have guys from all different backgrounds and different situations, but be able to relate and be able to develop a friendship is something that's so important.
Is there any favorite memory that you have looking back, thinking to yourself, wow, this is kind of unique. Not everyone has the ability to experience this, being in a situation when you have foster kids living with you?
Yeah. I think of, so we lived about 3 hours west of Toronto. We lived in this spot called Brucefield, which was like a small 2-stop sign town, just tiny, but we had an acre property, and on it, my dad put in like a little sports pad and just, big chunk of concrete. And we had an outdoor, we had outdoor area with a couple of nets, and all the time we'd have these big hockey games, and it was so cool that hockey was a thing that kind of brought us all together. And we'd get out in the back there, and I remember my dad, he'd always like stuff like a pillow in and use it as his jock, just to make sure he didn't get hit. And any of the kids maybe not really kind of upset with him would give him one there, so he kind of would put a pillow down there, and that would be his jock. And then we'd have these big hockey games, and my mom was one of the most competitive. She wanted to win all the time. But I can remember that. I can remember us all being out there, and it would have been my younger sister was a little too young, but it would have been my older sister, Tara, my older brother, Cal, myself, and then 4 other foster kids and my parents. Then we'd have my cousin who was living with us at the time. So we had this massive hockey game, and it was just so cool. Like how many kids have that opportunity to be able to, just go in the back, all right, we're having a big hockey game tonight. And it just brought us all together, and competitive, but also fun. And it was just kind of, it was like a big family that took care of each other and enjoyed each other's company. So it's definitely very special.
You said your dad would wear the pillow like a jock in case when the kids are upset with him. Did your parents treat all the kids the same like they treated you? I know there was times I'd come home in the off season, and some of the kids would say to me, man, was your parents this mean? Did they make you do your homework every single day? Were they on you about schoolwork and being on time and curfew? I said, you have no idea how tough my parents were on me. You guys are getting the same Carter loving that I received now today. Were your parents exactly the same way?
It was different. I think, when we have so many kids, and, the first part of my life, I was so much younger than most of the kids in there. So I was obviously at that point I was kind of sheltered to a lot of things when, kids were getting upset and kind of working out issues and stuff. They were kind of, my older brother and sister would kind of make sure I wasn't seeing anything kind of go on or arguments and try to shelter me from it. But yeah, as I kind of got a little bit older, you could, you definitely see that, they did such an amazing job at, when someone wasn't doing good, of sitting there and talking it out. My parents were such all about internal psychology, and if someone was upset, they'd have to go outside, cool off, and then my parents would come out and talk to them. And it's the same thing with us. They didn't want to get into an argument with us in front of the other kids. It would just be, okay, let's go, we'll talk about this a bit, go cool down for a couple minutes. I'll come, or go to your room for a couple minutes. I'll come up and we'll talk it out. But I think they did a great job. That we worked through everything, and I think it helped, all of us in that situation.
Now, were you able to take that and bring that into the locker room too? Your 11 seasons you played, for 3 different teams. How inclusive have those locker rooms been that you've experienced over the course of your NHL career?
I think it's been pretty amazing. Those lessons that I've kind of learned throughout, growing up in these situations and seeing that definitely helped me dramatically, and being in the situations and, being able to reach out and talk to guys, and, seeing a guy's upset. A lot of times I'll see guys that, that's maybe going through something that, it's a little tough to talk about. And I'll go to my dad and be like, Dad, is there any way you could kind of, help this player, or talk to this player and help them? They're kind of struggling, something like that. And I think as I mature as well, I kind of am able to kind of grasp those lessons, and, I can start to do it as well. But I think it's helped me so much in rooms, and being able to help include everyone, and, seeing when someone's having a hard time with something, be able to notice it and bring them in closer to be a part of this family and this team.
Now, do guys on the team, or did guys in your other teams you played on previously, know about your background, growing up with foster kids? And, what ways can we use, or approaches can we take to make NHL locker rooms more inclusive?
I think guys kind of knew it. Actually, after the first few years, I think kind of a couple stories came out about it, and eventually kind of told people the story. But I think there definitely is so much more room for improvement. Especially early in the game, whether it's junior hockey. In my household and growing up with my parents, the lesson was that you're responsible for each other's well-being. And that's got to be the golden rule. And when we're young, and even now, the teams in the NHL, it's more than just a game. And we need to help grow and help people be better people and be responsible for each other. So there's definitely a lot of room for growth. And it's on myself just as much as anyone to reach out when something's not right, to stand up and work through it and push people to be better. And that's what we need to do.
So who would be the guys in the room there in St. Louis? Like, you're one of the leaders there, obviously, wearing one of the A's. Pietrangelo, your captain, is one of the leaders also. Is it the leadership core that would speak up, or would there be other guys in the room that would feel confident enough to, if you see something, you say something?
Yeah, it's, you can see this is obviously my second year with the Blues, and look at our team. The leadership that we have is, one of the best things I've seen, best groups I've seen. And it is, you can see why, I think we did have success last year, because, I think all guys felt comfortable being able to say something. And I look at our leadership group, and, a guy like, Steen, who's been around for many years, his wisdom too. He's a guy that sees everything and addresses everything. And, you look at that, and, for myself, I want to be more like that, being able to, no matter what situation happens in the dressing room or game, you see it and you go to that person, you talk about it, or you go to the staff and talk about it. So there's guys that are doing it, and there's guys that feel comfortable stepping up. But again, it's all, for myself, I feel like that's, another step where I can grow and I can do more.
And how do you see the team playing a factor in this? A lot of the stuff that we're seeing right now, the uneasy relationship between the police and, say, the Black community, and sports in general have historically been really tight with the police community. Great relationship. Do you think sports could play a critical role in helping to mend that fence and have people come together? You're thinking about the police and the Black community?
Yeah, absolutely. I know there's a kind of a program we're trying to launch that started with PK, trying to kind of get the kind of youth in the area or the Black community and the police involved in something, bring to the game, and getting a chance to meet the players and talk to them, but get them all together and watch hockey. And I think it's a brilliant program that can definitely help. And yeah, sports is something that, so many kids look up to it, and people use it as an escape or something to really get into. And there's a pressure there on us to rise up and help mend this broken relationship. And, because there's so much pain in the world right now. And, as leaders in our communities and such, it's our responsibility to be the voice and stand up and help, bridge this divide.
And a lot of times change has to really occur at the top. We've seen tremendous leadership from Commissioner Bettman, Bill Daly, Don Fair for the Executive Director, NHLPA. And just recently, Javier Gutierrez is named as the president of the Arizona Coyotes. And you guys there in St. Louis have one of the pillars of the community. Mr. David Stewart is one of your limited partners of the St. Louis Blues. How important do you think would that be to have more minority involvement at the ownership level to help foster that change?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important. I think the more of it, the better. I think we need to see that. I think it's unfortunate with hockey is such a white sport that we need more in there. We need more change and more culture in there for sure, because it's not it's got to change. It's got to be more accepting. And you hear stories of what kids go through, players go through from the minorities, that it's awful. And I think when it changes up top, it's a great example, and it'll help trickle down through.
And what would your message be finally to your two young boys? You're a father now. You saw how your father raised you, and now you're a father of your own two kids. What would your message be to your two young boys as they're growing older, as they ask you questions about inequality and dealing with racism and people from different cultures? I feel, I would tell them that, there's no life more important than another. We are all equal no matter what we come through. And there are many people that don't have it like we have it. And you need to be able to stand up and be strong and help people in what they're going through. I think it's our duty to be responsible for each other and stand up and be the voice and make the changes that you see. So I hope I can teach them that and watch them go through it. Is that why you felt a responsibility to put out that statement to the St. Louis Blues when you did about George Floyd and what happened there in Minnesota? Yeah,
absolutely. And some of the we're considered foster kids that live with us, but my I have three Black cousins. My uncle married a Black woman. They had 3 kids, and they ended up living with us for, I want to say 5-6 years, kind of growing up. And my older, he was a little bit older, but one of my best friends was one of them, and his name is Matthew Bowler. And I feel, you could see the struggles that he had and he went through. And, you think of him in that situation and all he's been through. And I feel it's my responsibility seeing it. And, I need to say something. I need to step up. And not only that, but in the community, there's so many kids that I think look up to us hockey players. And if they see me standing up, I think it helps them stand up as well. And I just think it's my responsibility.
Well, it's important. We always talk about allyship, and it's important to have people like yourself stepping up, having that platform, using your platform, being brave enough to say something. It always can't be former players like myself and current players that look like myself as Black athletes. We need to have our white allies to be standing shoulder to shoulder with us. So I definitely appreciate all your comments. Appreciate you taking your time today on the hockey culture. It's so important to keep stressing that message and having those conversations with your teammates. So I can't thank you enough, Ryan.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you.